All right, for this activity, you are just matching. And in order for this to work, all you have to do is either grab onto the images or grab onto the rules. And you're matching images with rules. So you just grab it, drag it, and you can see it starts to highlight over, or the other way around. You see how it highlights? And you decide, you can decide, you think that this rule matches with this graph, or this rule matches with this graph. Let's say you said that this matches here. You'll see they automatically connect. You can drag this around if it gets in the way. Let's say you change your mind. You can just take it apart and put it to another rule. Take it apart, throw it on another rule. Move it up if you can't quite see it. All right, so before we get into this, I just want to actually kind of go over like, well, how do I know what rules belong where? So we see that there's a few rules here, and we were talking about that in the last slide, right? Let me bring your attention to this rule right here. There's a couple things going on here. It has a negative, it has a 3 right next to X. Nothing is happening to Y. All the action is here. Now, what do the different things mean? So here's a little go-to if you need to take notes on the side. Here are the rules, okay? Here's some rules to the rules. Whenever there's a negative in the front of any number, like it is here, that means that a reflection happens. So negatives mean reflection. Now, what if you see multiplication happening? Well, or division. Well, how do you know? There's no multiplying or dividing symbol. But if you see here, we'll come back to this idea. This 3x, or in this case it was negative 3x, but I'm just focusing on this 3 and this x. There's multiplication that's happening between here. It's saying that they multiplied all the x values by 3. And let me bring your attention down here. There are some fractions going on there. Fractions also mean division. So that means that these two things mean two different things. This means your image is going to get 2 times bigger. This means your image is going to get 2 times smaller. So when there is multiplication going on or division, that means that was a dilation. That's a dilation. That the rule tells you that there's a dilation that's going to happen here. Let me bring your attention down here. You can't really quite see it too much. Sorry about that. But you can kind of see here that there's some subtraction going on here. So that says x minus 4 comma y minus 3. And you never know. In the rest of this lesson, it might say plus 3 or x plus 5. It doesn't matter. But when there's adding or subtraction going on here, that means that your images, your x or y points are moving, to the left 4, to the right 4, down 3, up 3. It just depends. But that's what kind of transformation? Well, that's a translation. So plus or minus or subtraction, that will mean a translation is happening. Okay, so keep those rules in mind as you are completing this activity. So my best advice to you would be analyze the images, compare it to the rules, and you might say, well, let's look at this rule here. Which of these graphs look like a dilation happened? Which of these graphs look like image went from being bigger and then becoming smaller? And one thing I want to point out here is one more thing before we move on. I want you to notice here that the R and R prime, right? This is the original, this is the OG, and this is the new image, okay? Because of the prime. Original, new. Original, new. Original, new. Okay, keep that in mind as you're doing this, and go ahead and complete this activity.